all the time. I tried to do my best in this 1 hour. And thank you all once again. These are extremely challenging times. And the topic that I've chosen is change the story to change the world. I will start with a PPT, which I have got, because it'll only help you follow the trend of things. But I've tried to keep it as simple as possible. So I'll start then. Are you all able to see the PPT? Raki, is it okay?
Yes, yes, we are able to see the PPT.
Great. So change the story to change the world. These are not my words. These are the words of the science fiction writer Terry Pratchett. It's very interesting that we human beings like to believe that we base our thinking on facts and figures. But the reality, according to neuroscientists, is that we base our lives upon stories. Now, this is something that all storytellers and artists have always known. As I mentioned, Terry Pratchett, the science fiction writer, came out with these words. But even earlier, one of the greatest mythologists of all time, Joseph Campbell, said, "Our myths are our reality." Myths are not lies. Myths are spiritual clues to the way we live. And we take all our cues and cues from the stories that we listen to. The stories that we are fed with before the age of 8 largely condition the way we respond to situations. And as we grow older, the stories only add on. Now, what story am I talking about here? The story I'm talking about here is the collective narrative of the human race. I cannot get into the history of it, but over a period of time, we've had lots and lots of narratives which have come in and which have claimed that if we follow these narratives, then we will create an ideal society. Strangely, unfortunately, a lot of them, including the most precious narrative of liberal humanism, which respects and gives equality, the right to every human being to really come out with his or her uniqueness, all these narratives have failed. Now let's come to the first question. Why do we now need new stories? Simply because our old stories have crumbled. We don't have them anymore. So now we need to be inventive, and perhaps, and I'm going to repeat this even later, this is our only chance to create new narratives and to recreate the world. We would like to believe that the new narratives that we create will be aligned with the sustainable goals which the United Nations talks about. We should be creating, we should be thinking of the kind of story which will help actualize these goals. But let's see for a moment what the COVID virus has done to us, what it has done to the entire world. Firstly, the COVID virus has made us realize that power, wealth, in technology are not of much use. The most powerful have fallen prey to the COVID virus. Wealth has not protected them. And technology, which claims to guard us, guide us, lead us into a golden age with AI, even that has not been able to do much against the coronavirus. The virus seems to have crossed national boundaries and has made a mockery of the whole concept of globalization. It has also made a mockery of the idea of surveillance capitalism. I'll explain this concept very, very simply. Today, you and I all know that whatever we do is going to be
Dr. Coomi, I think your voice is cracking. We are not able to get you.
Has somehow. better, Raki?
Yes, better. Yeah.
So, would you like me to repeat anything?
Yes, yes. We would like you to repeat the last few sentences because we were not able to hear you.
Right. Okay. So, what I was saying is that nothing has been able to protect us against this virus. Not wealth, not money, not power or position. People in the highest ranks have got the coronavirus. Technology has not been of much use to us. It hasn't been able to prevent us from getting infected by the virus. We have been talking copiously about globalization. And the virus seems to have made a mockery of globalization. It's taken the word very, very little. We rendered extinct. So everything has withered at our touch. Apart from that, also we have killed millions of people. People have been forced to live all through these. Yes, can you hear me?
Yes,
Hello?
ma'am, but the connection seems to be unstable. The voice is cracking a lot. So maybe you could go a little slow because we are not able to get some of it. Yeah.
Okay, all right. So let me try this.
You could even stop your video to kind of avoid the data streaming.
Should I get out of that?
Or you could stop the video at the bottom of the screen.
There is no video, it's just a PowerPoint.
That's the screen that you're sharing, but we can see your video. So maybe you could stop the video and we can only hear your voice there along with the people.
Okay, so how do I stop this video?
So at the bottom left hand side corner, you will see an icon of video.
Should I stop sharing this for a moment to get out of this? Because
No, the screen share is fine. Maybe the video you can stop.
All right. Okay, so I think I'll just move out of it for a moment.
Okay. Okay.
And I'll stop the video. Is that better?
Yeah.
Is the voice better?
Voice is clear now. If you could share the screen now.
I'll do that. I'll do that. All right, so is this clearer?
Yes, much better. Let's hope it stays that way.
Okay,
yeah.
Okay. So,
yes.
I'm not able to get back to my earlier
we can
screens.
see.
I'm not able to move the screens.
You're not able to move the screen. Maybe you could shift to your PPT, the presentation.
Yeah, I've got the presentation on. Can you see that?
Yes, we can see it.
Okay, I'll try again. If it doesn't work, I'll just carry on without it.
No, we could see the screen.
You can see my screen, but I can't move it. Okay, now maybe I can.
Yep.
Just give me a minute, please.
Sure. Take your time now.
Okay,
Yes.
So this seems good.
Yes. Yes.
So basically what I'm saying is that the virus seems to mirror the way human beings behave. The virus withers everything it touches, everything it comes in contact with, just like us human beings. We have desecrated the land, we have polluted the water, air, space, rendered thousands of species of animals, plants, fish, reptiles extinct, and of course, destroyed our fellow human beings. Our self versus other, me versus you, this kind of thinking has created all kinds of oppressions based on gender, race, color, language, class, caste, age, ability, to name just a few. So, could this virus be regarded as a wake-up call for humanity? We are blue in the face talking about be the change to see the change. Now is our chance to really be the change. We have created a world of immense unhappiness, almost a kind of dystopia that George Orwell and Margaret Atwood and other writers have been talking about. We have normalized greed, inequality, stress, disconnection, confusion, rage, hoarding, hatred, to name only a few. Is it even possible that with this kind of mindset, we create a new narrative which is going to work? One seriously doubts it. Therefore, we need to change the stories, create new, life stories which will change the world. The next question is, who should create these new stories? Obviously, right thinking, balanced, compassionate, and most importantly, imaginative people. The road to imagination leads to freedom. Everything that is created today was imagined, good, bad, ugly. Can we teachers, researchers, scientists, creative writers, sports persons, artists really get together to create a better world? We're doing a lot of good on an individual basis, which is doing something useful. Some NGOs are doing things which are extremely useful, but we are all working in isolation. I think now is a time when right-thinking people need to band together, come together in order to create these new stories. What should those new stories be a result of? Essentially, of critical, creative, and empathetic thinking. Critical, creative, and empathetic thinking. I repeat, there is no place for violence. When we've been talking to people and saying, do not let your children watch violent movies, parents are usually helpless, teachers are helpless, children are constantly doing it because in the name of greed, those who wish to create those kind of narratives are creating them and luring the children towards them. We cannot afford any more violence. Whether in the form of video games or computer games or films. So the new narratives should actively shun violence, not leave violence ambiguous. I'll give you a very, very simple example. In the past, let's look at Bollywood. In the past, we had a very, very clear-cut distinction between good and evil. We had the good guy versus the bad guy. Then in the 70s, there seemed to be a kind of merging. And with Amitabh Bachchan's Diwar, we started seeing that it was all right to do the wrong thing for the right reason. Violence must be shunned unequivocally, not in an ambiguous way. And that's the only thing I think we need in today's world. Very quickly then, when do we start creating these new narratives? Now. Whatever decisions we take now will determine the kind of future that we will see on the planet. We need to start nurturing what the Dalai Lama has called compassionate leaders. I think, Raki, somebody's putting up a hand. Can you hear me? Is it clear?
Yes, much, much better.
Okay, okay.
Yes.
So we need to start creating these narratives here and now in order to nurture children to become future compassionate leaders. Now, where should we place the emphasis? Obviously, polarity consciousness, you versus me and mine alone has not worked. So we need to put the emphasis now on unity consciousness. We are fully aware from quantum physics that there exists a matrix, and we are at the root of everything essentially one. We are one not only with each other, but with all living beings and with planet Earth. Those of you who are interested could look at the works of James Lovelock and his Gaia hypothesis. The Earth is a super organism, and it needs to be treated with courtesy and respect. So we need to work with unity consciousness and no more with polarity consciousness. And the final question, how do we create these stories? By thinking, feeling, and intuiting the content of these new stories collaboratively. Now, the key word here is collaboratively. I may create a picture of what I think is a wonderful society, but that may not be your image. So my utopia will be your dystopia. And if I happen to be in a position of power, I will end up pulling out a lot of fingernails and punishing you for it. So it is time now that we work collaboratively in every field of education. Neuroscientists have been telling us for quite some time now that we human beings are hardwired not for competition, but for cooperation. If we come together and work out a new narrative, we will be able to change the world. We will be able to be the change, to see the change. And the COVID virus, in spite of the suffering and death and trauma that it is creating right now, may finally emerge as the savior of the human race. I'm wondering if people have any kind of questions, and we could do those questions now before moving on to the next part of the presentation. If there are questions and I see them here, I could take those questions.
Yes, as of now, we don't have questions. Maybe everyone is pondering over it and, you know, thinking over all the wonderful points that were just discussed.
Covered in this first section is the need to change the narratives. I began by this is just a quick recap. I began by saying that we need to change the stories to change the world. Because we human beings live not on the basis of fact or figures, but on the basis of stories. Our stories are our reality. We had created wonderful stories in the past, some of which worked, some of which did not work. But now with the COVID virus, we need to recreate and invent an entirely new story, which is based on unity consciousness and not on polarity consciousness. And we ran through it, examining the why, who, what, when, how, and why, and where of these a little later. So could we go on with this?
Yeah, we have a question. We have a question by Fatima Sheikh. Is creating a wonderful society practically possible where people with different levels of mindsets live together?
That's exactly what I'm saying. That though we are different, we are essentially one. One of the most powerful thinkers and scientists of the late 20th century, David Bohm, he has put this very, very powerfully. He says that at the level of the explicit order, we are all different. Meaning you look different from me, the children look differently. We have our different strengths and limitations. But underlying this explicit order is the implicit order. And at the level of the implicit order, we are all essentially one. There is the matrix which unites every single living being in the cosmos. So, if we now stop thinking too much about our differences, learn to respect those differences, but come together now to create a new narrative which will be healthy, which would promote exactly the sustainable goals that the United Nations is talking about. The 17 sustainable goals are the new narrative. But the consciousness needed to create them has to change. And that consciousness can come only with an awareness that underlying all these differences, we are one. That's not just a woo-woo pretty idea. That is the basis of the new narrative. That could be the basis of the new narrative. And if we create a new narrative based on it, we will be able to create a better world. And I say this on Easter, a festival of hope. Not because it's Easter today, but it's something I very, very strongly believe in. Because we human beings are capable of anything. We are capable of baseness. As Jonathan Swift, the writer of Gulliver's Travels, said, we could be the most odious vermin that nature ever suffered to crawl upon the surface of the earth. Or we could be what Hamlet says, oh, what a piece of work is man, how infinite in faculty, how noble in reason. We are capable of nobility, generosity, but we're also capable of baseness. Now, the choice is ours. Does that make sense?
True, true, very true. The choice is ours. Yeah.
So, any more questions?
Yes, there are a couple of more questions. So we have. Isn't there the possibility that one person's utopia will usually be someone else's dystopia?
That's precisely what I said.
Yeah.
I actually said these words, that my utopia could be your dystopia. Therefore, we need to come together collectively, collaboratively, and create a utopia. And that too is clearly possible. Instead of functioning from the egoic level, if we function from the spirit level, then our utopias would be common utopias.
And I think as educators, it's a must that we collectively bring about this change and create a new narrative amongst
Absolutely.
ourselves. And I think what we have been doing since the past 20 days, 18, 19 days, is that we have been coming together every single day at 3 p.m. just to share knowledge with one another with the hope to create a new narrative. Yeah.
And don't you, and I'm sure all your participants will agree with me that they've gained so much. They are beginning to see other people's point of view. I cannot have all the knowledge, but I can share my knowledge with you. So sharing is what it's all about. If we operate from that level of consciousness, we can bring about a better world.
So true.
And I think one of the things I would like to say at this juncture is that the next session that we are going to do together is going to concentrate on how we as teachers can really create change.
Yes. I think that would I think That's something that's really needed now to come together as a community to bring about the change that we have always been wanting to, and we have been
Somehow,
visualizing it as well.
somehow the feeling is, oh, I'm too small. My voice is not going to be heard. If
True.
everyone does that, we are never going to be able to bring about healthy change.
The
Any
power of
other question?
one. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. The power of one. Absolutely.
Yeah. So yeah,
Any other
questions
question?
are done. Questions are done, ma'am.
All right. So let's move on to the second part of today's webinar, which is conscious living. In order to be able to make this change, we need to work on ourselves. Let there be sanity, safety, peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Broken people cannot create a wonderful world. I think you'll agree with me. But the title may puzzle you. What am I talking about? Conscious living? Aren't we all conscious? Unfortunately, 95% of our behavior comes from the unconscious. 95. And that unconscious is formed before the age of 8, max to max up to 11. Psychologist Rob Williams says that after the age of 11, we are fast asleep on the wheel of our car. So without realizing it, all our responses, or rather reactions, are actually conditioned by the stories that we grew up with, by the narratives we grew up with. So we need to wake up from that, from unconscious living, where we respond without thinking, we react without thinking, to conscious living. So let's just explore some of this in a bit of detail. This particular PPT is going to be with you so you can read the details of it. This is a very, very interesting diagram that someone has recently created on who do I want to be during the COVID-19? Do I want to be in the fear zone? Do I want to be in the learning zone? Or do I want to be in the growth zone? Now, it's very, very important to realize that we cannot just choose to be one and suppress the others. We need to go through them. We need to experience the fear, acknowledge that fear, but move from fear to learning and from learning to growth. Just as I said at the collective level in the earlier part of the presentation today, this is our wake-up call. We are grounded at home. We are asked to rethink the way we live. We are asked to rethink the very term normal. We all keep saying we want to get back to normal. But what is this normal? The norm of greed, rapacity, hatred, hoarding, some of the things I listed earlier. Is that normal? Do we want to make that the norm? Or do we want to create new norms? So, once again, this is a huge chance. I do not believe in sweeping fear under the carpet and saying, well, I'm not really worried about it. Of course, all of us are worried about it. Of course, all of us are experiencing fear. But we need to transition from fear to finally growth. And if we human beings grow as a result of it, as I said earlier, it's going to mean something extremely positive for the planet. We all talk about the law of attraction, but according to most contemporary scientists, the law of resonance is far more effective than the law of attraction. Why? Resonance means creating the right frequency. You realize that when you think very, very heavy thoughts, when you feel depressed, you actually feel heavy. At that time, the vibrational level of your body is extremely low. At other times, when you are buoyant, when you're jubilant, when you're joyous, when you're thinking happy thoughts, At that time, the vibrational levels are really high. Now, like attracts like. When you are in a heavy state and your resonances are low, it is but natural that you will attract situations and people of low vibration. When your vibrations are high, you will attract situations and people of that vibration. This is a law of resonance. So it's not as if, I just make a couple of vision boards and I say, I want all this. I want a car, I want a bungalow, I want whatever. Unless my resonance matches that, it will not manifest. And therefore, the law of resonance is what we should really concentrate on in our lives. And with that, maintain heightened awareness and balance. Now, in this short presentation, I'm going to give you a few very simple tips. And if you follow these tips, it'll be absolutely great as starters. The most important thing is the morning when you get up. Do not touch your cell phone, but devote the first 30 minutes of the day to setting your patterns of thinking and feeling for the entire day. When you go to the TV and you press a certain channel, then that channel comes on. It's the same with our lives. The first few minutes of our day determine our thinking and feeling patterns for the rest of the day. Some of the suggestions I have is that you wake up with a positive thought, a very short prayer, or most powerfully, an affirmation, not an affirmation. There's a difference between the two. Affirmation is like standing in front of the mirror and saying, oh God, I'm so beautiful. And your mirror says, ha, really? Tell me that again. Jeers at you. But scientists tell us that when we structure the same thing as a question, then the brain madly looks for answers and brings those things into our lives. This is pure science. So instead of saying, I'm so attractive, perhaps you could say, why am I so attractive? It's a very simple shift. The affirmation that I use for myself is, why does the universe bring love, peace, and joy and amazing ideas to me all the time? That's the affirmation I start my day with. Simple, will hardly take a minute. Then you could brush your teeth with your non-dominant hand. The purpose of this is to activate the right side of your brain. And drink a glass or two of water, obviously because our body is made of water and we've been dehydrated, we haven't had water all night, so we need to replenish it and be a little kind to our body. Instead of going to the cell phone, you reflect and journal 3 things which you want to do during that day. So you give time to the 3 things that you want to do and you write them down. There is amazing power in ritualizing things in writing. So you journal 3 things. The next is that you could do some simple, slow stretches. You don't begin the day with crunches and lunges, but with just to keep your body supple. You can do your actual exercise routine during the day, later during the day. But at this time, just a few limbering exercises. And very importantly, a meditation or a visualization. There are 2 kinds of meditations, loosely called meditations. One is monastic meditation, where you focus on point 0. You try and keep your mind blank. This is slightly difficult. Instead of that, you might want to try a visualization. And I'd be happy to do a very brief visualization with you in the next 5 minutes. So if you like, you may close your eyes and take a few deep breaths. Inhale to the count of 4, hold to the count of 4, and breathe out through the mouth to the count of 6. Inhale through the nose, exhale through the mouth. So, relax in your chair or wherever you are seated. Breathe in, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Breathe out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Breathe in through the nose, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Breathe out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Last time. Breathe in, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Breathe out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Feel all your stress and anxiety leave you and know that you are perfectly attached to Mother Earth, to Father Sky, and you're totally protected. And you may want to invoke anyone you believe in, any master, any angel, anyone you believe in. Now take the palms of your hand and rub them together. Rub them really hard and quick. You will feel the warmth. Take them apart at the level of your solar plexus. And now bring them together up to the point when you feel some kind of resistance. Now, imaginatively, with each quiet breath, make this energy ball bigger and bigger. Take the energy ball into every cell of your body. See the cells of your body light up with golden light. Feel it moving outside your body, 2 feet, 4 feet, 6 feet, 10 feet, and feel the entire room now covered with golden energy that radiates from within you. Now expand this to the city of Mumbai. Bless everyone in the city and see everyone virus-free. The state of Maharashtra, the whole of India. See it covered completely in golden light. And now let's carry on with each of the continents. We are calling in the golden age, the light of the central sun. We are shining forth on all the land, the age of light has begun. See the continent of Asia completely covered in golden light. Remember, thoughts create energy, and you are energetically blessing every continent. We are calling in the golden age, the light of the central sun. We are shining forth on all the land, the age of light has begun. Africa. Visualize the entire continent of Africa completely covered in golden light. The people and all living beings are happy and healthy. Bless the continent. We are calling in the golden age, the light of the central sun. We are shining forth on all the land, the age of light has begun. Europe. This continent has seen and is continuing to see a lot of pain and suffering. Just pour golden light on it. We are calling in the golden age, the light of the central sun. We are shining forth on all the land, the age of light has begun. North and South America. See the Americas, North, Central and South, completely covered in the golden light of God. Visualize everyone there, healed, happy, and energetic. We are calling in the golden ray, the light of the central sun. We are shining forth on all the land, the age of light has begun. Australia. This continent has also seen a lot of trauma in the recent past. Bless the continent. We are calling in the golden ray, the light of the central sun. We are shining forth on all the land, the age of light has begun. Antarctica. See the climate change completely healed, and all the living beings there happy and energetic. Now visualize the water and the air likewise cleaned. See the earth completely enveloped in the golden light that you have raised. Bless the earth. Gradually, very, very gradually, come back to the room and you may open your eyes. Okay. What I have done with you is a very, very simple visualization. You could choose whatever you feels good. You could just have music which cleanses your chakras. You can do anything, but give these 15 minutes to yourself and you will see how the day changes for you. A few more tips before we end. Very, very importantly, talk less, think more. Examine and look inwards as often as possible because it will soon become a habit. We are very, very happy to jump to conclusions and put the blame on others or talk about how others think and feel. How can we know how others think and feel when we don't know our own inner selves? So more than concentrating on blaming or maligning others, look at yourself and see how you can improve yourself. Involve yourself in non-judgmental socializing, and the key word here is non-judgmental. After a meeting with a friend, if you are going to talk about that friend or feel good, bad, ugly, it's not worth it. The friend has his or her own opinions, and you just need to let go and let be. Socializing is great, and it's necessary for us humans. We humans are social animals, but if we tarnish it with judgments, then we again end up unhappy. Very importantly, develop a service orientation. Do some seva, think of others, and not only think, act for others. And you will see the kind of gratification that you feel. And do what makes your heart sing. Now, if you didn't have to worry about earning money, what would you really like to do? You would like to dance, you would like to sing, you would like to cook, you would like to do any of these things, just go ahead and do them. If you feel that you are being judged, do it in the privacy of your room, or whenever you have a few moments during your bath, whatever, you can sing and dance, but do things that make your heart sing, because that will put you in the flow. Daniel Goleman talks about it abundantly in his book, Emotional Intelligence. So friends, these are just a few tips to really heighten our vibrations and to ready ourselves to bring in a better world. I hope all of this has made sense to you. And you're welcome.
The voice is cracking, ma'am.
To ask questions now.
We couldn't get you. If you could come back, your voice was cracking, so we couldn't get you the last few sentences.
I finished.
Oh, okay. We lost your few sentences.
The last few sentences?
Yep.
Okay, so basically what I said is that during this presentation, I have done a few things with you, which if you could practice, then you would ready yourself, create those high vibrations and ready yourself to bring in a better world.
Okay, yep. So just to, in context to our classroom, when we spoke about creating a level of consciousness, the high vibration energy, so as to attract the right kind of people and the right energy into our lives. How do we maintain that, and how do we pass on to our learners in the classroom? I mean, we are human beings, right?
If you have this kind of morning ritual, now if you're used to getting up at 6, just jolly well get up at 5:30 and do this bit entirely by yourself, undisturbed.
Okay.
And then you will find that you are able to handle the challenges of the day better.
Okay.
You will be more balanced, more centered, and you will be more effective, whether as a person or as a teacher.
Okay. And why does energy actually deplete?
Energy depletes when we function from a rather low level. You see, a lot of people would ask you that, how is it you multitask?
Correct.
When you multitask, you are in a state of flow. You enjoy what you're doing, so work doesn't seem like work. As I mentioned, Daniel Goleman talks about this. Daniel Goleman says that when you're in the flow, you never look at the clock. And you're just able to do things more effectively. You're able to put your mind on several things. But this first 30 minutes of the day really determines your thinking and feeling patterns for the rest of the day.
Yep. Wonderful. Yep. It's been a very, very energizing session, I must say. And in case anyone has any questions, then I think Dr. Coomi would be ready to answer.
Absolutely.
Yes. So I'm just going through
I have concentrated on teachers as human beings here. Next time I'll be concentrating on teachers as bringing about a change in the educational system. But unless we become really strong and effective in ourselves, we cannot really bring about that change. Yeah, thank you to everyone who have appreciated. I can see all those comments. Are there any questions? Are there any questions? I'd be very happy to answer them.
I think you were very, very clear about how a consciousness change can be arrived at, and what are the stories that we need to recreate. So it was very, very self-explanatory, and now is the time to actually dwell within and understand how is it that we can come together to recreate,
Absolutely.
to recreate.
Absolutely.
Yes. Yep.
And this is a time probably for reflection. We go off on expensive retreats to be away from the crazy rigmarole rigmarole life that we lead. But here we are forced to stay at home. So let's give some thought to the way we think, to the way we feel. How can we really become more effective? I'm not using the word better. I'm saying more effective human beings. And you can be effective when your vibrational levels are high. That is when you'll be able to take all the emergencies that keep cropping up even during the day.
Very true. So I would request all the educators to actually go through the points. We will be sharing the PowerPoint presentation as Dr. Coomi has suggested that we can keep it. So we will be sharing it with all those who are a part of the webinar. And, one request would be also to probably put into practice a few of the strategies that Dr. Coomi just spoke about. Like, for example, if you're getting up at 6, then might as well get up at 5:30 and maybe get into a ritual to create that high frequency. So maybe we could try that and we can get back with those strategies, whether it's working, and if it's working, then how wonderfully it's working for all of us. Because as rightly pointed out at the beginning of the session, that we often doubt our own capabilities, that what is it that I can do,
And
but
we keep
yeah.
thinking that we are small, and others think that they are great only because we give them that power. I'm not asking you to become a megalomaniac. I'm not saying that, oh, I'm the greatest in the world, but I have something to share. You have something to share. Well, let's join hands and work together. So that is the main thrust of today's session, that when Teachers Help Teachers has created this beautiful platform requesting teachers to share all the wonderful ways in which they teach. Now, if all of you come together and just contribute to one lesson and say, I taught this in such a brilliant way and my children loved it, you are doing your bit to work collaboratively. And that is how we will change. We cannot wait for others to change the world. We have to be the change ourselves. And I would urge Teachers Help Teachers to also, after the webinar, pass on to you a lovely children's book, which has been created by a child psychologist in the United States to deal with this fear and confusion caused by the coronavirus. Though it's a children's book, of course, you can share it with your own children, but it deals with our fears and all, and it's beautifully illustrated, and you'd love it.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Please forward it to us so that we can share it on our Facebook.
I've sent it to Anuja already.
Oh, okay, all right. Thank you so much. So we will forward it and upload it on our website as well.
Very grateful to Raki for helping me with the technical part of it. And
not at all. My pleasure. My pleasure.
It's a pleasure to work with Teachers Help Teachers.
Thank you so much. And I'm thankful to our participants who have been patient. We have been facing network issues on and off since the past few days, but yet we have been going strong. And even today we were at 99. We were 99 participants, and a couple of them did message me that they were unable to get into the webinar, but of course we have gone live as well. So it's, as usual, wonderful, the energy and the zest with which we all come together to learn each day is really amazing. And I think that has really kept us going, and it has actually helped us to connect. And today's session indeed throws light on that. Yeah.
If I could just add one thing quickly, could I?
Yes, please. Yes, please. Yeah. Please go ahead, ma'am. Yeah.
I have been working on an alternative B.Ed course for a while, and there is so much of learning that happens, and I have realized that there are some amazing ideas which the teachers of the Krishnamurti school and the Waldorf school and the Montessori school and the Big Picture school and all these different systems of learning, they have some great ideas. It's time now to put those ideas together instead of saying my system, my way of thinking. Can it be ours? Can we change the pronoun? If we bring the best practices of different systems together, then we can create a wonderful system for our children.
I think the ASB school has done that, ma'am. They have opened up their resources to help other schools.
I know that. I know
Yeah.
that because yes, I'm in touch with Fiona.
Yes.
Yeah,
That's really wonderful to be able to help out in times like these, to put
all
together all the
schools should
resources.
do this. All
Yes.
schools should do this, and all teachers at the individual levels. There has to be more dialogue, more discussion, because when we come together, then literally united we stand, and we will make our power felt by the powers that be, can then influence the policy makers to bring about these helpful changes that we are talking about.
Very true, very true. And I think this also paves the way for the Global Tipping Point, Global Tipping Summit that we are planning in the month of October. So that is something
right.
that is something that we all are looking forward to, and I hope that you know, we are able to come out of this crisis, and because that is something which is really, really going to be effective in bringing about change and initiating the dialogue. Yeah.
If you like, that is also a PowerPoint I could share with the group.
Yes, yes, we can do that. Yeah. Yes.
Lovely.
Yes.
Lovely.
I have that PowerPoint. So let me share that.
No, I have upgraded it. I've changed it around. Yeah, so I'll send you the latest version of it.
Yes, yes. So maybe we could just help them to become aware of the summit that is being planned in the month of October. Yeah.
That's right. That's right.
And I hope there are school leaders out here who are listening, and you know, because you know, as a teacher, when I go to different schools and I ask them to share the resources, it's indeed sad to hear that you know, all schools protect their content as a copyright, which I feel okay, because their teachers are creating it, but at the end of the day, even the teachers are inspired from that particular piece of content that they have created. So why should any school actually lock up that content and you know, copyright it? So there are of course
this
you
is
know,
exactly what I'm saying,
both
that
sides.
when this happens, there is polarity consciousness. And why is there polarity consciousness? Because we're still into the competitive mode. So my school should be better than yours. Just forget all that. It's a question of human survival now. So let's cooperate.
Very true. Great, amazing session, ma'am. Thank you so much. And as usual, listening to you is always inspiring, and it fills us with positivity to the brim. I'm sure all the participants who have attended are very much feeling the same. Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts today.
My pleasure. Absolute pleasure. And stay safe, stay blessed, everyone.
Yes, thank you. And we look forward to another session very, very soon.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. Good day to everybody. Stay safe, and see you all tomorrow. We have a session with Dr. Jaya, and we are going to be available at the same time, and we are going to be posting the details of Dr. Jaya's session on our group and Facebook very soon. So thank you. Thank you very much. Bye, ma'am.
Bye-bye. God bless.
Yeah.